Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending upon where you're joining us from. My name is Tad Haas, and I'm from Wickersoft. Joining me on the call today is Matthew Willie, also from Wickersoft. We'll be telling you more about our company and our offerings later in the presentation. But today, we want to get focused and start on the topic of aligning sales and service delivery to accelerate growth with Microsoft PSA. Project Service Automation is a great way for us to accelerate and improve the performance of our teams, and that's what we'll be focused on today. The focus is to address the challenges of your professional services organization, to talk about how better aligning sales and delivery can address key challenges, specifically improving the bottom line, and then we'll spend the majority of our time going through a demonstration, looking at the live session. But before we get started, first off, a couple of key house cleaning things. We will not open up the lines for questions today. All lines will be muted during the webinar. However, we will answer questions that are captured in the chat and question panel throughout today's presentation. Additionally, feel free to email us directly and we'll be happy to answer your questions as well. We'll be giving you our contact information at the conclusion of our session. Also, if for some reason you get disconnected or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry. We'll be distributing the recording from today's session along with the content for all the people that have registered. So let's go ahead and get started then. In the service market today, you have plenty of trends and plenty of pressures, not least of which this new economy is really driving things towards a transformation of fixed fee, people-centric businesses. It's important now more than ever to have a very high degree of visibility into client demands. They're expecting greater predictability, accountability, and value for the services that you're providing. And today, even medium and small companies are doing globalized business and have a need for streamlined operations. We'll talk a little bit more about how the fact today, many, in fact, as much as half of the service projects are now fixed fee or time. It's critical that we're able to address those things. And then, of course, many of our operations suffer from a hodgepodge of point solutions, spreadsheets, and emails. We'll, of course, have more time to dive into that a little bit later. So in the second half of last year, Microsoft launched Project Service Automation. This is a transformative service provided in the cloud. It's a great new product that's helping each of our organizations improve our service delivery. It is an end-to-end solution that extends the Microsoft Dynamics CRM to provide a single system of customer engagement for sales, for resourcing, for delivery, and billing. The best part about this, it's all part of the Dynamics 365 platform, but of course works in conjunction with our Office 365 worlds, where we're going through and doing things like project planning, resource management, and specifically focusing around items like collaboration. We'll spend time today talking about times, expenses, customer billing, and then also driving home quite a bit around analytics and integration. So what is this notion of professional services automation? And why is this software solution used, and what benefits can it provide? When we get right to the bottom line, professional services automation tools have been around for quite a while, and it's quite proven that they'll help our organizations be more productive and more profitable, specifically providing improved levels of predictability and client satisfaction, really driving towards the two key outcomes that we're looking for with these type of tools. Reports, insights, and the rest of those controls are super important for us as well. Let's talk about the case for these and dive a little bit deeper. If we're looking for a more profitable business, how in fact can this help us deliver? We talked a little bit earlier about the market trends, but I like to call this slide the squeeze. More than half of our projects are fixed fee and driven. Clients today are demanding that predictability and that accountability like they never have before. The problem with this trend for us as organizations providing services and delivering value to our customers is it creates a couple of scenarios that drive inefficiencies, and whether it's over or underutilization of our employees or trying to address the risks associated with inaccurate project planning and execution. Far too often, people are either overestimating to reduce probability and they're in fact decreasing the winning engagement opportunity, or they're underestimating work and increasing the risk of an unprofitable engagement. Ultimately, we need to minimize this reduction in profit, reduce the risk, and increase the client satisfaction. Getting better at project planning and operational efficiencies is more important today than ever. Integration of core business solutions. This is one of the reasons why the Microsoft stack is so important, because as part of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 family, Project Service Automation provides real-time information for executives that help with rapid decision-making and help organizations adapt to changes in the marketplace. Integrating with sales, automation, and CRM gives us a better understanding of the pipeline, looking at the backlog and potential revenue that's coming, as well as a better understanding of the service delivery requirements and maximizing schedules for profit potential. Being able to tie all of our project service automation together with our organizational reporting, or BI, allows us to more thoroughly analyze the services portfolio along with the rest of the work inside of our organizations. This is helpful because it creates growth and profitable expansion opportunities as we get better visibility into our marketplaces. Some of the strategic considerations, of course, of success depend on our teams working together. How do we get our executive stakeholders involved with sales and marketing and tying services delivery together so that we can have the best possible experience? Being able to go through and really help us understand how marketing, sales, and delivery can give us the functionality and the capability to address the things that are most important to us and work together with the different folks that are part of our teams will help us deliver and drive profit as we start to look at EBITDA and what we can do from a profit point of view. Now, sales and delivery synergy is where we'll focus most of our efforts today, because it's the effective communication of what's promised by sales and what's delivered to our consulting staff is most important. One of the biggest misses in many organizations is the challenged handoff between sales and services. And that comes from a couple of different things, either not enough early visibility into the deals that are coming, but two, what was really promised, and three, the timing for delivery. We want to also be able to take advantage of this on the other side. Once engagements have begun, how do we actually get everything working together so that when a change request or some account management conversations turn up additional selling for cross-selling opportunities. We want to be able to go through and have an understanding of the historical data, getting that 360 view really in all of our account views and what it is we're trying to accomplish with our customers and how we want to go through and address each of these. So visibility for all roles is super important. We've talked about the pipeline and the background there, and we want to keep driving towards a complete picture with our client so we can prioritize the value delivery and maximize the efficiencies of both our selling and delivery teams. So what are some examples of a PSA solution and why you might need it? Think about these questions. If you can say yes to one or more, or indeed most of these questions, then your organization could benefit from project service automation. Disconnected spreadsheets and legacy applications are what cause the biggest manual rework or the biggest set of inaccuracies or lost data for most organizations. Again, disconnected spreadsheets, not having everything in one place for everyone to go to and see what the latest information is. Manual processes, of course, delay billing accuracies, and that is a problem for cash flow. Are we getting the expenses in on time? Are we getting all of the POs and all of the rest of the information in the way we need to for that? Lack of visibility around budgets and what we're spending. I can give you an example from our company. As we were working with a client, we started to recognize we were getting towards the end of the spend that the customer had budgeted, but the client kept having greater and greater expectations. This allowed, knowing we were coming to the run rate end, gave us a chance to have a meaningful dialogue with the customer so that we could go through and talk to them about expanding the engagement and indeed providing more value. Regional sales teams or silos within geographies are a problem as well, because this doesn't allow us to communicate across many of these national or international companies we're working with that have offices everywhere. And of course, reporting, we've talked a little bit more about that as well. Poor user experiences allow or impede our now mobile consultants and people out there in the delivery. Not being able to use the modern tools of our phones or our tablets is a real challenge for us. And again, the lack of visibility of what resources are going to be required become a problem for recruiting. Resources also don't know what's coming, so they have a hard time understanding what projects they might be engaged in next. So it's really important for us to have a way to run, scale, and grow our quality professional services businesses, and the PSA platforms provide that. We've already talked a little bit about quote to cash, so I won't belabor this, but of course our ability to take a CRM pipeline from the Microsoft Dynamics platform or something like Salesforce, drive that into the PSA for project scoping, staffing, setting up the delivery expectations, and then dealing with ERP on the back end, again from Dynamics 365 or others, allows us to do the invoicing, the bill collection, and all the things that go with that. Before we get into the demo, I wanted to drive to a couple of key things here around process maturity. The biggest challenge is that 55% of the organizations today are in level 1 or level 2 around their maturity. And that's a problem, because if I'm in heroic or I'm in functional, I'm not maximizing my possibility for performance. And in fact, my profit is less than those organizations in level 3, 4, and 5. And it's quite dramatic, and it's quite significant in terms of what it is that I can do for increased profit. This data, by the way, comes from the SPI research. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. They do an annual study with professional services organizations, and these benchmarks are from the 2016 survey, where over 250 organizations with an average of 1,300 delivery experts gave some examples for this. If we dive a little bit deeper, it's important that we take a look at where our performance metrics actually come from. And whether we look at the top of the list here for bid to win ratio, or if we're looking down at our EBITDA relative to earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, we can start to see significant improvement on delivery. We can see crucial improvements in our billable utilization. And of course, most of our companies are striving somewhere between 70 and 80% for billable utilization. And of course, it's also great to see an annual revenue per employee increase as well. Don't worry, we'll provide these slides for you at the end of today's session. You can dive down into the statistics and the meaning a little bit more in detail from there. So what does the future look like? The future, of course, is a more intelligent customer engagement. It's being able to have better alignment between sales and our delivery team. Again, as we start to look at survey data, we start to look at reports that show higher billable utilization rates. We look at increases in profitability. We look at a reduction in project overruns. And then, of course, an increase in net new clients has a great end result for us as well. So these are things you can take back with your organization as you start to consider these approaches. Our companies today, in fact, fully 70% of those surveyed do not have a tightly integrated CRM and project service automation delivery system. So by doing this, you can start to drive towards these tangible results. If we take a closer look before the demo, what we want to try to do now is see what does the solution provide for us and how can we get the roles involved for our different stakeholders. The project service automation toolset is really designed to include all participants in the project and sales delivery process. Everything from the sales or account managers, the practice delivery experts, the project managers that are of course in the trenches executing with your clients, the resource managers working with the teams, and the team members and end customers themselves. As we take a look left to right, integration of all of the traditional Microsoft tools, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Project, if you're at that level of detail planning, are all usable within this environment, but project service automation delivers for you all of the things left to right, from opportunity management to actual report integration. If we drill down a little bit deeper, we start to look then at a complete capability model that shows us what is it that we can expect both from our CRM system, hopefully you're using Microsoft Dynamics 365, and those capabilities are added through project service automation. And in this case, you'll see everything in the green from project estimation to expense report, customer billing, and all the things that go with that are examples of what can be delivered through the project service automation, all the way from customer acquisition to billing and payment through each of those areas. With that, I want to pause. We'll go ahead and let Matthew take control of the screen here, and we'll get him set up for our demonstration, and we can go ahead and get that moving as well. So Matthew, I'll let you take control.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Tad. All right. So I'm logged in here into Dynamics 365, and we'll just take a walk through really the whole process from beginning to end and how these two teams can work together to achieve those great benefits that Tad was just talking about. So where it really generally starts is at the opportunity level. So I'm logged in, let's say I'm an account executive. I'm working on lots of different opportunities. I'm trying to drive these sales and then build up to my different goals and to my different, work my different accounts and customers and such. And let's say I have an opportunity here, my Chic CRM opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. And there's lots of information around this opportunity that I may want to track, all the different activities that are going on, all the different posts, so on and so forth. And I can see here, if I scroll down, that I've built some different quotes. So you can actually build quotes right through Dynamics 365. So if I pop into my quote, I have a quote here that I've put together for this particular customer. And project service not only allows you just to build a quote, but it actually allows you to do some what-if scenarios and things around resourcing and costs and such to make sure that you're going to have a good margin. And so that, we're not just doing work to do work, we're actually going to make money off of it, right? Drive that bottom line. So if I come in here, I can see that I have some project baselines, like my development work that I'm doing here, which is built out in a time and materials way, but it could be fixed fee, you can do milestone billing, all different types of ways you can set this up. I also sold them, or I'm trying to sell them, some different products. So if you have, software that you're licensing to them or actual hard physical products, then you can account for all of that within your quote here. But if I pop into my project baseline, my time and materials kind of services work here that we're putting into this quote, then you can see I can break it down into different stages. I can put, roles that might be working on those different stages, or I could break this down into different milestones if I wanted to. You can put starts and end dates, and then the quantity in hours, and then we have the sales price, that's what we're selling it to the customer at, and then the cost price, that's what it's actually going to cost us for that labor that we're selling to the customer. And so based off of that, that all rolls up and that gives us a margin, and that's going to roll up into different reports as well as back on the opportunity and such in here. you can even get a little bit fancier and go one level deeper. I can come into my chargeability view. And what this actually allows me to do is go, well, okay, let's look at all those different roles that are going to be working on this work and what they are being sold at and what they are costing us. And that gives us our profit margin here over on a role by role basis. And I can see that some of these resources are giving us better margins than the others. Developers, for example, only have about a 16% margin, whereas my mechanical engineer has a 29% margin, you know, those types of things, right, and others and so on and so forth. But what you can do is go, well, what if I outsource, say, that development to India? I can switch my resourcing unit and try to get my costs lower, which is going to drive my margins up. And so you can really start to use the tool not just to you know, write up a quote, but you can start to get a little bit more into it and figure out and make sure that before we go forward with this, we're actually going to be profitable and we're going to get the best margins that we can and really driving that maturity up. So, point is, from there we build out our quote. Our opportunity at some point is going to get set to closed won. So if I come back into my opportunity here, into my Chic CRM opportunity, at some point I'm going to mark this as closed won, and that kicks off a workflow that's going to do a few different things. It's going to create an account or a customer record in the system if that one doesn't already exist, or it'll link it up to an existing one if this is an existing customer that this opportunity is for. It's also going to create a contract and a project. The contract really has all the details in it that came out of that quote. So we can see, you know, what did the customer purchase, and that will help to drive billing and invoicing and that and such later. The project is where the project manager will come to actually go and manage that project and start to build out the plan and so on and so forth. So what we just saw there is there's this connection now between the sales team and the delivery team, so that you know, automatically when the sales team wins that opportunity, we're going to notify and create this project and this contract, and then project manager can be assigned. They can come in and start to build out the plan based off of what was sold and have all that information all handy here in one place instead of having to go try to find it in other places, and things get missed through email and, oh, I didn't create that project, and, you know, so on and so forth, right? So at this point, I'll jump on into a project, and I'm going to kind of switch my hat here to more of my project manager hat, and let's go into that implementation project that we just saw for that, you know, based off of that opportunity. And so I come in, I have lots of information around this project. Anything that came out of that quote and that contract is already going to be here for me. I don't have to go and like refill that in again. It'll automatically come across. And it automatically related it back to this opportunity here. You can see it's related to that Chic CRM opportunity we were looking at, and it related it to that CRM offshore quote that we were just discussing over on the other side. And so I could click back into that, and I would be able to get all the details of what was actually purchased. Based off of what's been purchased, I can then start to build out my plan or my schedule, otherwise known as my work breakdown structure. I'm sorry. So you can see here I have many different tasks that I put in. I broke them into those different stages or phases that we had sold them. I can assign my different resources in here. So this is actually an online planner that I can use right through Dynamics 365. If you're looking to do more detailed kind of robust scheduling, then you can also use Microsoft Project to do that. And there's an add-in that you install that basically allows me to connect up to Dynamics 365, and then I can publish this schedule into Dynamics 365. It'll still show up in here, and you'll see it just as I see it here. You could just utilize Microsoft Project to manage and build that schedule and to keep it updated over time as well, if you choose to do so, and if you have project managers that are used to that and want all the bells and whistles that are included within Project Desktop. So either way, I'm going to build my schedule, and then I'll hit, I want to generate my project team. And what it's going to do is it's going to take everything in my schedule here and the different resources that have been assigned and such, and it's going to build them into more of a high-level kind of resource plan / team for my particular project. So I just jumped into my project team view here, and you can see here are all the different people that are on my team, and based off of the tasks that I had assigned them, it puts a start date and an end date and the amount of hours and so on and so forth, so it kind of aggregates it all up for me. If you had used a generic resource, though, like just generic developer, I don't yet know what developer is going to be doing this work, so I just started with a placeholder. You may have done that for all of the different resources on your project at this point, started with just all generics. Or if you already kind of knew who would be working on the project, maybe you just went ahead and put named people in there. But if you start with a generic, what I can then do is I can either submit this request to the proper resource manager so that they can go fulfill it for me and say, here you go, here's Matthew Willie, here's your developer. Or depend if you don't have kind of resource managers in your organization, then as a project manager you can go and search for that resource yourself. In either case, it looks the same whether it's the resource manager doing this or if it's a project manager doing this. You come in, you hit hard book, and that's going to pull up my resource availability view. Within my resource availability view, since I was looking for a developer, it already knew that, so it filtered it down to developers. So now I'm just seeing all my developers here. And then I can see who's available or not based off of if they're red. If they're not available within that period of time, they're already over allocated or overbooked. If they're blue, then they have some availability left and such. And there's a little legend down here on the bottom. It even accounts for vacation and other things within this. If I expand into one of these people, I can then see the details of which projects they've been assigned to and for how much time and so on and so forth. So I can see where that allocation is coming from. And some people, like Mike down here, don't have anything going on. So I can see that very easily. Mike doesn't have anything assigned within that particular period of time. I can take a peek here at Mike's skills. I could give him send him an instant message right through Skype for Business right from here, since this all ties in with Office 365 as well. I see his availability. His target utilization is 75%. We have to get him up to that. You can see what his cost is, so we can try to use lower cost resources to keep our margins up and so on and so forth, right? And so if I select Mike here and then hit book, it's going to switch him out so that now instead of just having that generic developer on my project, I now have Mike. And this accounts for things like skill sets and such as well. So if I just wanted to look at, say, .NET developers, I can come in and do that, hit apply, and it'll filter this down and give me a smaller list. Mike's all still good, so we'll grab him, we'll hit book, and then that's going to put him back into my project team there and switch him out for me and notify the appropriate people. So you can see how you can go build your schedule, you can do some resource planning, get the right resources on your project. We're getting our whole plan together. Now we're ready to actually start executing on that project. I'm going to switch to more of my team member side of the things. Now I'm the person who just got assigned to that project, and I can then go in and do multiple different things to interact and update my status and so on and so forth. So if I come in here into my bookings and tasks, I'm going to see that, oh, I've been assigned a task for different projects, and those will all show up in here. I can then select that task there, and I can update my % complete on it. I can update how many hours I think I have remaining, so on and so forth, put in notes and all types of things like that. And that status is going to go back to the project manager, and they'll get notified and so on and so forth. I can also, at the end of the week, or hopefully every day as I'm working on these projects, go and fill in my time. So you can come in here and simply just hit new. I need to add something into my timesheet. I can select which project I worked on and what task and so on and so forth, and then put in my time that way. There is also a grid view in here. If you're used to more of kind of a traditional timesheet view, you can look at it that way. So you have multiple choices of how you want to look at it. But the really cool thing is I can actually sync this up with my Outlook calendar. And so things that are in my Outlook calendar can be imported right into my timesheet here. So instead of having to go and fill this all out from scratch, if most of the things I've been doing are in my calendar, I'll just bring them into here. I can add anything else I might need that wasn't in my calendar and then save and submit, so it makes it really easy to do my timesheet. There's even a mobile app for this as well. So if it's Friday and you already left and you forgot to fill out your timesheet and you go, oh crap, then you can go into your mobile app and put in your time that way as well. So lots of different ways to try to make it easy for people to get their time in so that we don't have to chase them down quite so much to try to get that information, which is always difficult. There's also an expense module in here, so if people need to put in expenses with receipts and such, they can do so. And so trying just to make it really easy for team members to provide status, provide their time updates, their expenses, and get that all back so that we can continue to service our customers appropriately and really drive that bottom line. So switching back to more of my project manager hat then, this team member has now provided me status. They've been putting in time. How do I see that all coming back in and then generate basically my status report? So if I come back here into my project, I went into my VoIP phones project. This is an active project that's going on right now. I can see all the different information around it. We estimated we were going to spend 262 hours. Actual hours are 80, so as people are putting in their timesheets, those actual hours are rolling back in. We have 170 remaining, so on and so forth. From a cost perspective, since we have all the rates and such and we're capturing expenses as well, those are all going to come back into the system so we can see what we've been spending and make sure that we're not overspending comparatively with the progress that we're getting. And then also if you're doing the billing out of this system or integrating with your accounting system to get your invoice type information, then we can see your revenue recognition showing up here as well and understand really the full picture of this project from hours, from spend, as well as the revenue that we're getting from the project, which all then roll up to be able to give you things like margin, so on and so forth as well. Scrolling down here though, it's not all just about numbers and KPIs and things like that. We want to provide a place where the project manager can put in some narrative around how this project's doing. That information could be passed back to the account executives or account managers. That information can be passed to the actual customer themselves or any other particular stakeholders. So we can put in some narrative here like what work was performed this period, what work is planned next period, any other comments we might have, so on and so forth. We can also track risks around this project and what's the probability of those risks happening and the impact and exposure and so on and so forth. So you can do risk management here and come up with mitigation plans and such. If one of those risks becomes real, if it's realized, there's a workflow that allows you to convert that risk into an issue, or you can just come here and hit the little new button and just directly put in an issue. And so we can make sure that we're tracking our issues. We can raise them and escalate them as needed. There's an escalation process in there, as well as they'll show up in your status reports and such as well. Lastly, if any changes need to happen, whether that's a schedule change, a scope change, whatever change it might be, we can track those. There's an approval process around that. And if it's a change that needs to go back to the sales team, the account executive or account manager who is in charge of this particular customer, that may turn it into a potential opportunity, then there's a workflow that helps facilitate that as well. You can send that change back over into the opportunity list, and so that then they can keep working that and help really grow that customer and drive things forward. So then based off of all this great information we have here, if I hit my little plus button there, it's going to allow me to generate a status report that's just going to kind of take a snapshot of all the current kind of things that are going on. And then I have a running history over time so I can see how the status of these projects has changed. And there's other trending reports we can look at to get a little bit deeper into that. But basically from here I can generate my project status report, as well as I have a nice dashboard of what's going on. This is kind of my cockpit for my project, and everything that's going on I can do it from right from here. You also, though, not just have the ability to track schedules and costs and such, but you have the ability to communicate and collaborate right through Dynamics 365. So this ties in with Office 365 groups, if you're familiar with that. Groups allow you to store documents and allow you to have a calendar and have discussion boards and so on and so forth. So this all ties directly in with that automatically. And you can see here's my calendar of any key events that might be coming up or meetings or whatever it might be related to this project. We have a conversation board here where people can say, hey, I uploaded a new version of this document, check it here, or hey, don't forget to go to the meeting on Friday, or whatever it might be, and so you can start to communicate and collaborate. There's a notebook in here. This uses actually OneNote online, which is really cool. And so if I click on this, it opens up a OneNote notebook where I can then put in all my notes from all my meetings and have all my meeting minutes all within one place stored right back to my project. We can have this loaded with any different documents that you want, and you can keep track of all those right through there. And there's versioning on that and so on and so forth. So it really ties in and allows you to really communicate and collaborate using that Teams/Groups feature within Office 365. So from there, people keep working on these projects and they're going to be updating their status and so on and so forth. But the power here is really everything is all focused around the customer. So now as an account manager or a practice manager, whoever it might be, and I want to come in and see all of our customers and how our customers are doing, not just how a project is doing or how an opportunity is doing, I can see my customer-centric view from right here. So for example, if I click into my active transport customer, this is a customer of ours, and I go into this customer here, I can see all the different details around what's going on with this particular customer. I see that, for example, we have two open opportunities, so we're working on some new opportunities with this customer. The opportunity revenue-wise is $155,000 for those two opportunities. We got 4 active projects going on right now. 2 of those projects are at risk. Here's our estimated costs across all those projects we're working on for this customer, how much we've invoiced them, so on and so forth. If they have any support tickets open, if we're using that module, or if we're syncing those in from our support system, so on and so forth. So it really gives me a full picture of what's going on with this customer. If I want more details, I just scroll down. Here are those 4 projects, and the status of each project, and the hours, and so on and so forth. So I can make sure that, hey, is this customer profitable for us as a whole, and are they on track, are they off track? Hey, we're trying to drive these 2 new opportunities forward, but if these projects aren't going well, maybe we need to slow down and focus on getting these projects back on track before trying to push forward with those opportunities, right? We're starting to really send a lot of that information back and be able to get a better picture of the customer as a whole. Here are the active issues if I want to see more details around what the issues are. The active project change requests that are out there, the risks, the opportunities, so on and so forth. I can get all of those details right from my customer view. So that's really the power of all this, right, is that it all bases back to that customer. I can understand how we're doing from a customer perspective and make sure that we're driving those customers forward and working between the delivery and the sales team to drive that forward, to grow them and make them much more profitable for us at the end of the day, right? So as that's all going on, then there's multiple different dashboards and reports that I can use to get a little bit more analytical here and to better understand, status of these things, looking at our pipeline coming down from sales, et cetera, et cetera. So this dashboard is my practice dashboard. It's showing me a little bit of different information, some things from sales side, some are more financial based, like gross margin over time, as well as we have resource availability right on the same dashboard. So I can come to one place and I can understand multiple different things, and these are configurable. So we generally target these based off of different roles. A practice manager, they're going to want to see certain things, so we put different visuals on there for them. A resource manager might be interested in other things, so on and so forth. So we can pop through some of these dashboards and see the types of things we might want to look at. Let's say I'm more of a portfolio manager, or someone who's just or upper manager, executive type of person, and I'm more interested in seeing status across many different projects. How are all of our different projects going? Then I can come into this project status report here, and I can see just that. So here are all of the different projects we have going on right now. We can see how they're doing from an overall status, schedule status, work status, resource cost issue, so on and so forth. And this is configurable, so if there's different KPIs that you guys want to track, we would set that up for you. But I can see here, okay, 3 of my projects are at risk, 14 are over budget, 16 are behind schedule, so on and so forth. And if I want, I can use my filters over on the side to filter this down and just look at certain projects or groupings of projects. So maybe I just want to see all my projects that are having problems, so where overall health is either red or yellow. And so by utilizing my filters here, I can filter that down and just focus in on those. Or if I just want to see projects that are being managed by a certain person or for a certain customer or whatever it might be, right? You can use the different filters to do that. Once you're looking at the set of projects you want to look at, then I can use the different tabs across the bottom to tab through this and see different aspects of project status. I can focus more on schedule status. How far are we off from what we estimated? That's my duration variance here. Some projects are way off, and I can see those highlighted here at the top. Some of them not so much or not off at all. There's Gantt/timeline types of views, or sometimes referred to as roadmap views, built into this. We can look into cost information, budgets versus actual cost, what's remaining, so on and so forth. I can see costs over time if I'm looking for more time phase reports. This one's showing me budget versus actual cost by quarter. And if I come here, then I can actually drill into most of these. Most of them are drill-in capable. So if I come here and I click on Q4, it'll drill in, and then it'll show me October, November, December. And if I'm tracking down to a daily level, I can even click in one more level and see that by day. So the really cool thing is I can start at a higher level type executive view of how all of my projects are doing, and I can drill down all the way into costs by day if I choose to do so, just with a few clicks, right? Following the line down, then we can look into work. We estimated we were going to spend this many hours. We've actually spent this many, and here's what's remaining, so on and so forth. And we can also see things like work over time. And then all those risks and issues that we saw that we were tracking down in the project, those all can then roll up, so I can get roll-ups and visuals of here are all the issues that are going on for these different projects. And everything here is connected. So say if I click on the high priority part of this pie chart, it'll filter down and just show me the high priority issues. So again, just with a few clicks, I can drill way down and just get to the information that I want to see. And so that's just one type of the reports. And this is actually using Power BI to power it. And you can access those Power BI reports right here through Dynamics 365. But if I was more like, say, an executive, and I don't live in Dynamics 365 every day, but I do live in Power BI or use the mobile app that comes with Power BI and so on and so forth, then I can just come directly into Power BI and see all those same reports and such, or more. This one's a little bit more financials focused around my invoice totals and things, and so on and so forth. And so there's a ton of different reports in here that allow you to get visibility into resource load, into timesheets, into financials, into the sales side of things, what's our pipeline coming down, et cetera, et cetera. And we can package those together and tweak them to meet your needs as well. So last cool thing is if you're looking to do some ad hoc types of reporting, then there's lots of cool capabilities in here for that, and I will show one in particular, which is called natural language query. So all natural language query is it lets me ask a question very much like if I was to do an internet search, like a Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever it might be type of a search, right? And it's actually going to generate a report based off of what I type in. So I'm here on a kind of customer profitability type of report showing me things like gross margins over time, actual compared to what our budget was and our goals and our targets, and so on and so forth. And I go, hey, there's a report that I want to see that's not here. Instead of having to be either the most technical person in the world or contact my IT group and say I need a developer to write me a report, I just come here and I say I want to ask a question. So let's say I want to show, let's do gross margin. Notice as I'm typing this, it kind of helps me, but I'm going to do gross margin, and I want to show it by customer, something like that. So you just type that in, and it didn't just go and find a report that already existed. It actually created this report just based off of what I typed in. So I can see each of my different customers here, and then the gross margin for each one of those customers. And then I can change it though. Maybe I want this actually to be a column chart. I just type in column, now it's a column chart. Or I want it to be a pie chart. I can type in pie, now it's a pie chart. If you want to get fancy, you can pop this little guy on the side open here, and you can start to update colors and fonts and add drill-ins and conditional formatting and all kinds of other more fancy things. But if you're good with it just the way it is, you're looking for a fairly simple report, then within a few seconds you can create that, and then you just hit pin. I can then pin that back to my dashboard, and I've now just created my own ad hoc report just by simply typing in a question here. So it makes it really quick and easy to get the information that you want to see. So hopefully you can see how the sales team can, track the whole customer from a CRM perspective and understand all the opportunities that they have and so on and so forth, and work those and build quotes and such. That all transfers over at some point once that opportunity is closed won into a project, which can then be executed on, and you can staff with resources and so on and so forth and do status reports and such. And all of that information all makes its way back to that customer though. So, as a practice manager, whoever it might be that wants to understand how our customers are doing, account manager and such, we can really tie those two teams together and get a bigger picture of what's really going on, and then report off of it all with all these great, out-of-the-box reports that you see here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Tad for just a few more slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. So there you go, Tad.
Thank you, Matthew. Matthew, very much. Appreciate that. I think what we'll do is go ahead and jump right back into where we left off. We, of course, were talking a little bit about our demonstrations and getting through the key areas there. Let's go ahead and advance our slides and talk a little bit about a wrap-up. We really appreciate the way that you took a 365-degree view, not only of our customers, but of the work that we're delivering through them as a professional services team. And this shows us how we can see, all the different angles, whether I'm looking at things from a top-level perspective as a business stakeholder, if I am the project manager that's really focused in on execution for the broader team, or I'm that individual contributor that's going out and trying to manage and update my timesheets and keep my expenses current. So there's a role for each participant when we look at PSA as a solution. As we talked about at the beginning, implementing a project service automation, professional services automation tool is one of the most impactful decisions you can make for your company. You will start to see dramatic improvements in efficiency, in collaboration. We've talked quite a bit about how profit margins can be maximized through that, how executive teams can be active and participate in it. You'll start to see early warning signs for risks, for issues, and really begin to get that real-time visibility that's impossible to do with spreadsheets or manually disconnected processes and systems. So at the end of the day, your approach, your team will be stronger and better together working with aligned sales and services delivery. As we wrap up just a little bit about Wickersoft, we said we would give you some information about us at the top of the presentation, and that's what we're doing here. We're veterans of the Microsoft ecosystem and have been providing consulting services for over 20 years on top of the Microsoft stack, and look at ourselves really as productivity specialists. As a triple gold certified partner, we're one of a very elite group of teams that can help you do this and look at things both from a low risk, fast time to value, and proven approach in delivery. That's a big part of what we do to help you get jump-started, kick-started, and moving quickly. We're a global organization. Today we're focused here in the North America market out of Seattle, Denver, San Diego, Dallas, Chicago, Canada, really all across the board as well. And as a team of resources, we're able to provide not only the project service automation functionality, but also help with the broader Microsoft suite as well. Like you, we're very client-focused. We work to demonstrate our proven track record and obviously have a passion for technology, as Matthew's demonstration will attest. We are a one-stop shop for successful project service delivery and the deployment of the tools, whether we look at first and foremost the professional services to get the system up and running, to help you through the strategy workshops, through the kickstarts and the actual deployment. Obviously working through education and training, teaching you how to fish so your team can be productive. We use online universities and a whole series of technologies that really provide value quickly. And more we're becoming the tier 1, tier 2 support for our customers when they need quick access to experts, self-service portals, and really the knowledge library that we can provide. And of course, business optimization, driving and supporting the continuous improvement. Once you put the system in place, how can you continue to augment your performance, whether it's with people or processes or administrative things along those lines. Traditionally, when we do deployments of PSA or the other Microsoft solution set, we take both a basic implementation, kind of a do-it-yourself approach, a kickstart guide that is a build-to-order process that leverages the thousands of deployments that we've done and working with Microsoft customers over the years. And then, of course, select implementations that are full service, very robust, and taking into account the largest enterprises, the existing processes and tools and things that you might want to integrate with, work with around custom training, and all those things that work with deployment. Our approach is designed to address all of the business units, from sales, from marketing, from services, to the PMO, IT, and many other parts of the organization. When we look at doing a kickstart for project service automation, we really want to help you take a test drive to look at the software, understand how it helps your teams, and get the party started around buy-in. Stepping into the executive buy-in with the Kickstart program helps you to get quickly to value. This allows you to go through and understand exactly what you're getting quickly. And for example, the reports that Matthew showed, that's something we want to go through and help you get moving right away. And our Kickstart implementations, of course, are doing that because they're pre-built with things like risks and issues, the scorecards and dashboards that we presented in today's talk. So consider those things as you take a further deeper dive into project service automation and the Microsoft Dynamics stack as well as Office 365. Let us work with you to do an assessment and a roadmap understanding of where you can go with that and the trial service that might help you get started. We've got more information, of course, at www.project-service.com and our corporate website, wickersoft.com as well, and usinfo@wickersoft.com for email, or Matthew or myself, Tad Haas, directly below. We thank you for your time today. We'll be providing a link to the recorded session. Feel free to look at each of our upcoming webinars and seminars for more information either online or in person. And we look forward to working with you, and have a great afternoon. Thank you so much.